Hello guys, welcome to the channel, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about load balancer and API gateway, and I think that's a little bit relevant to talk about it because nowadays there's some, can I say, overlapping between those two technologies that for newcomers, for the person that are starting working with those aspects of software architecture and software engineer may become a little bit confused. And how should we choose when to use API gateway, when to use load balancer, and what was the main purpose of those two components and software architecture and software engineering. By overlapping, I'm saying that if you take a little bit deeper analysis about those two components or those two objects, you will see that I think that it's a little bit related to the business side because we know like user wants to have only one solution, right? And you can see now like uh, API gateway doing things like uh, uh, authentication and authorization routing, and the same thing are happening for with some load balancer vendor doing the same thing, like doing some authorization there and authentication, even routing the request to the backend service, right? And that's the what I'm trying to bring here in this video is to give to you the why, the reason that what would be the what was the reason for the creation of the those two components, right? Just to try to help, as I say, there is a lot of overlapping in the industry solution. But before I start talking about those two components and to give more perspective and to give more, how can I say, comparison reference, if I can say something like that, I would like to introduce some concept called well architect framework, which is something that you can, AWS has its own, Google has its own, Azure has its own, and many of cloud vendor has its own framework for well architecture. But basically, the word well architecture is a framework that says that there are some important things that you should consider in your architecture or in your solution. Basically, those components, those aspects are reliability, okay, performance efficiency, okay, operational excellence, cost optimization, security. And to try to, I will try to use the well architecture framework to try to, how can I say, uh, put where the load balancer belongs to inside that architecture, and put where the load balancer belongs to that architecture. I think that will be a little bit helpful, like, because it will help a little bit uh, uh, when you want to choose when to use load balancer and API gateway. Basically, from my understanding, you would like to use or you would use API gateway if you are trying to solve a security aspect of the system, and that will be, how can I say, put it in the security aspect of well architecture framework. Because at the end of the day, by the basic idea of the load balancer is to hide, right, the actually backend address or host name or something like that to the word, and put the API gateway there as a shield, if I can say, or the first point of contact, right? And inside the API gateway, try to do something related to security to avoid, for example, a malicious request to get in the backend service. One of the aspects that related to security that API Gateway does is, for example, throttling. Okay, for example, a rate limit to avoid one of the main problem of the security, which is those denials of service. And another aspect that you can put inside the API Gateway in front of your backend is aspect related to authorization and authentication. Well, basically, when you try to choose the API Gateway, put in mind that the problem or the aspect that you are trying to solve might be, could be, or should be security related, right? And that's the I think that the first thing that you should put in your head when you try to choose to choose to use the API Gateway. While when you try to use a load balancer, I will say that the load balancer is related to performance efficiency of the well-architected framework, right? Like, because the idea of load balancer is to allow you to scale, right, your service and have some specific component that is centralized, that can route, that can forward those requests seamlessly without you notice all this change. Otherwise, look at the case where, okay, we need to scale the application, right? And when you scale, probably it's a new instance or it's a new container that will be created, right? And those object needs a address to be reached. So it will be difficult for you to write or to put those aspects inside the code. Well, you can argue that they can put that at environment variable, but I think that it's not the job of the application. The application should be concerned with implementing the business request, the business logic, and not some those kind of things that are related to the network. Well, I would like to introduce, but I will not do that, which is the service mesh. Basically, is to abstract all those network issues, the network aspect of the service. But the idea is, when you try to choose load balancer, think it like you are trying to solve performance issue or performance aspect of your application. Because with load balancer, the upstream or you backend can scale, and the load balancer will be the one managing the routing, the forward of the request that your service needs to handle, right? So when you think about API Gateway, think like you are trying think that you are trying to or speaking in other ways, like when you are trying to input or put the API Gateway in your system, think that you are trying to solve security aspect of the system. And when you want to use load balancer, and think that like you are trying to solve a performance aspect of your application. I think that is the main that's the basic idea that you could use to when you try to choose when you want to use a API Gateway, or when you want to use a load balancer. Yeah, basically that's the basic idea behind it. Solve security issues and solve performance aspect. As I say, like nowadays there is a overlapping between those two components. Like, as I say first, also like probably because the consumer requirement and demand, like people want only one solution. But put that in mind, solving performance issue and solving security issue. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you can take something from that, and I hope you learned something on that. And yeah, see you in the next video.